Okay, hopefully you were able to calculate all the answers for the study guide. A lot of the questions had twists that you weren't familiar with seeing. When I walk you through those twists, you're going to realize that the problems were simpler than you thought when you were staring at them earlier. Okay, the first one's a straight problem that we've had in the past. It's a break even in dollars, and we have $500,000 in fixed costs. The selling price of our room is $80. ADR is the average daily rate, and the variable cost room is $25. So we use the break-even formula, and we plug in our numbers. We take the 80 minus 25 and get 55. 500,000 divided by 55 multiplied by 80 is $727,272.72. If we want to make $100,000, not considering taxes, we're going to use the straight X equals units. X equals fixed cost plus income divided by sales minus variable cost. When we do all the math, we get 10,909.09 units. But because we can't sell 9/100ths of a room or half a room or any fraction of a room, when we're looking at units, we round it up to the next unit. If you were to put 10,909.09 on the test, I wouldn't mark it wrong. But in reality, if we're doing break even, it would be terrible if we came up short, or if we needed $100,000 of income, and because we didn't round up, we were short, we might be in big trouble. So we always want to round up. Okay, the second question has a twist where instead of me giving you the variable cost in dollars, I gave it to you in percent. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go ahead and just take your selling price of $32 and multiply it by 0.65, and you get a variable cost of $20.80. And what you could have done also is actually calculated your contribution margin, which would have been the 0.35, so 32 times 3.5. But we go ahead and we do it straight as a straight break-even problem once we've calculated our variable cost, and we have 100,000 divided by 32 minus 20.8, and we get 8,929 rooms when we round up to the next room. And then the second portion of this problem is assume that we'd like to make $50,000 after taxes, and our tax rate is 25%, so we need to calculate our before tax amount. So we use that IB equals IN divided by 1 minus T. IB is income before, IN is income, and T is tax rate. So we take $50,000 and we divide it by 1 minus 0.25, and coincidentally we get income before of $66,666.67. I apologize for that. I'm just grabbing numbers out of random for your study guides, and sometimes we get some funky answers. How many dollars will you need to sell to earn the $50,000? So what does our revenue need to be? I'm sorry. How many guests will you need to serve is the question, and I apologize for that. That's a bad question. If you did it in dollars, you're okay. If you did it in units, you're fine too. So we're going to go ahead and take the X in units, and which equals fixed cost plus income before divided by sales minus variable cost for our units. And we get $166,666.67 divided by 11.2, which gives us $14,881 rounded. If you had to find the dollars, you could just multiply that 14, or if you found dollars and you want to know if your answer is right, just take the units and multiply it by the selling price, and you'll get your dollar amount. Okay, problem 3, we're actually not giving all of our numbers. We're given fixed costs of $260,000. We're given units of 120,000 or 12,000 rather, which we haven't normally been given, but we haven't been given the selling price. So we're solving for selling price. If you look at this formula, there's actually 3 components of it. You've got your X, you've got your fixed cost, and then you have your contribution margin, which is sales minus variable cost. So if we go ahead and we just assume that S minus variable cost, or sales minus variable cost, is a variable, and I just called it Y, Then we have a formula that's 12,000 equals 260,000 divided by y. So we solve for y, and we get 21.67. And if y equals 27.67 and y is the same as sales minus our variable cost of 90, then we do the math and selling price is $111.67. And that's the only way that y will equal s minus 90 is if you plug the 111.67 in for s. So again, there's a couple of steps of algebra, but really once you look at the problem and you realize what you're doing and you conceptualize that you only have 3 variables, it's pretty easy even though it is 2 steps. Okay, the next one's similar to the one prior, except for in this one we are solving for net income. So if we take the fixed cost plus income and we change that to the variable y, and we plug in our numbers, we plug in the 4,600 for units and the 35 minus 18 for sales minus variable price. Then we have a real simple formula of 4,600 equals y divided by 17. We do our math and y equals 78,200. And if the fixed cost plus income equals y, and we know that our fixed costs are 35,000, then we subtract out the 35,000 from the 78,020, and we have an income of $43,200. Again, the first thing you have to do on this is you have to go ahead and think in terms of 3 variables, and then once you get an answer, you need to realize that the answer is going to help you get your income. Okay, problem 5, we're almost through. On this one, we're actually solving for income again. So we were given, and we're given the units of 10,250, and we're given sales minus variable price of 170 minus 85. Coincidentally, 170 minus 85 is 85 again. So we're going to assume that fixed cost plus income is y, and we get a simple formula of 10,250 equals y divided by $85. We do the math, and y equals $871,250. And that means that if we go ahead and we subtract out our fixed costs, we're going to get our income, and our income is $646,250 in this example. Last one. Okay. So our break-even is achieved when we sell 425 rooms in a month, and the selling price is $75, and the variable cost is $50. So fixed costs have to be $21,250. So what we did is we used our break-even in units, which is fixed cost divided by sales minus variable cost, and we plugged in our units of 425, and we did our math for our contribution margin, which is sales minus variable cost, and we get 50. So we do a little bit of algebra, and fixed cost equals 425 times 50, and of course the answer is $21,250.